I never imagined a splash of mud could lead to a life-changing moment for us both. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. The rain poured down like a relentless torrent. The world outside my window blurred into a canvas of gray. I stood there, still as a statue, my heart pounding. My younger brother, Noah, was out there somewhere, playing in the muck. I watched from our small porch, my hands trembling on the railing. I could see the excitement on his face as he jumped into puddles, splattering mud everywhere. The laughter rang loud in the air. It was like music, a sweet melody. Then it happened, a sharp twist of fate. A huge truck roared past, sending a tidal wave of water and mud crashing into him. The laughter turned to gasps. I felt it harden in my chest. My stomach dropped as he stumbled back, drenched, coated in brown sludge. It was more than just mud, it signaled something deeper that I rushed out, fear clawing at my insides. My mother had always warned us about the dangers of the world. The strange happenings. The whispers of shadows lurking by the old oak tree in the park. Promises no one understood but felt in their bones. I hugged Noah tightly. He was shivering, both from the cold and shock. His wide eyes looked at me, searching for comfort. "Why did they splash me?" he cried, his voice cracking like fragile glass. In that moment, the innocence I tried to protect felt so fragile. My heart ached for him. But there was something different about that mud. It glistened oddly under the fading light, colors shifting like they were alive. It made my skin prickle, an unsettling feeling encasing me. As I wiped some from Noah's cheek, a strange sensation coursed through me. My hands trembled. I felt a whisper, a call, something I couldn't place. The air thickened. I swallowed hard. The shadows seemed to dance around us, more pronounced than ever. Instead of fear, curiosity ignited. What if it wasn't just mud? Noah pulled away, a grin slowly creeping back. "It's just mud, right? We can wash it off." But as I turned towards the house, a chill shot through my spine. From the corner of my eye, I caught a glimpse of movement. A dark figure lingered by the tree, just beyond the flickering porch light. I blinked, and it was gone. My breath quickened. I looked back at Noah. "Let us go inside." But what if the mud was a sign? Or worse, what if there was more to that figure? I glanced back, half expecting to see it again. Nothing. Just shadows. My heart raced. I squeezed Noah's hand tighter, wishing my smile could shield him from what I felt brewing inside me. Little did I know that this was only the beginning of a web of secrets entwining us like twisted roots. And this splash, oh that fateful splash, would lead us both down a path filled with darkness. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The sound of the door closing behind us echoed in the small, cramped living room. Inside felt stifling, the warmth from the radiator clashing with the cold sensation still lingering on my skin from the storm. I shut my eyes for a moment, locking out the outside world. I needed to protect Noah from whatever peril might linger there. "Can I go play in the bathtub?" Noah asked, his innocence cutting through the anxiety coiling tightly in my chest. The cheerful light in his eyes was slowly returning, and I felt a flicker of hope, like a candle against the darkness. "Sure." I forced a smile, knowing that distraction was vital. "Just keep the water clean, all right? Only soap tonight." He nodded eagerly and bounded towards the bathroom. I watched him leave, wishing desperately I could sweep up that youthful spirit and bottle it away, far from whatever shadows might be creeping closer. As he splashed and giggled in the bathroom, I found myself at the kitchen sink, staring blankly at the muddy clothes piled in the corner. I couldn't shake the feeling that there was something deeper tethered to that splash of mud, a hidden truth waiting to unfurl itself. My fingers brushed against the cool porcelain of the sink, reminding me that while we could wash the physical remnants of that moment away, the emotional scars might settle beneath the surface. My reverie was broken by the sudden sound of laughter coming from Noah, bright and innocent. I leaned against the door frame, watching him through the open door as he splashed bubbles in the air, unaware that each giggle sent ripples of warmth through my heart. But then, the laughter stopped, and a shadow fell over the bathroom door. My heart raced again, more violently this time. Something in the air shifted. I stepped closer, peering inside to find Noah, eyes wide, mouth forming a tiny O as his gaze drifted to the mirror above the sink. "Noah?" I called softly, not wanting to disrupt the fragile tranquility. "I saw it again," he squeaked, still staring into the mirror as if it held secrets untold. "Saw what?" I stepped in, ready to shield him, pressing my back against the doorframe as if it could keep the darkness at bay. "The face," he whispered, his little hands gripping the edge of the sink as if holding on to something far bigger than both of us. In the mirror. It was looking at me. My breath hitched, an icy grip around my heart. "What face?" I fought against the tightening fear trying to wrap around me like a shroud. Noah pointed, trembling a little. It looked sad, but also, there was something else. "I don't know." Like it wanted me to come closer. Tears pricked at my eyes. "The shadows at the edges of our world wouldn't leave us alone. Noah, come here, right now." My voice was firm, yet filled with worry. He turned, shifting his focus back to me, the innocent smile fading, replaced by a pucker of uncertainty. "I don't want to see it anymore." I knelt down, hugging him tightly. "You don't have to. We're safe here, okay? We'll keep the door closed. You just forget about it." At that moment, as I pressed my cheek to his messy hair, I could feel the weight of the world leaning on my shoulders, but maybe, just maybe, there would be light beyond the shadows. Suddenly, there was a soft knock at the door, startling us both. My heart thudded. Who could possibly be here at this hour? I hesitated, but another knock came, urgent and quiet. We're just..." I began, swallowing hard as I opened the door a crack. That it was Mrs. Jenkins, our elderly neighbor, her face half hidden in the evening shadows. "I heard the commotion, dear. Everything all right?" I nodded slowly, her presence floodlighting the darkness that was creeping in. "We're fine, thank you. Just a little scare with the rain and all." Mrs. Jenkins smiled, but there was an unsettling urgency in her eyes. "You know, dear, mud can carry a message. Sometimes it's more than just dirt. You should always listen to its whispers." I blinked, confusion mixing with fear. "What do you mean?" "I've seen many things in my life, things that shaped me. Trust your instincts." She looked over her shoulder, then back to me. "Be careful." And just like that, she turned and walked away, fading into the night. I closed the door slowly, feeling the weight of her words settle heavily in my chest. "Noah?" I called out, but my brother had gone silent once more, the echoes of bubbles floating away in the now still bathroom. A knot twisted in my stomach. I needed to find him. As I rushed inside, I caught a glimpse of something in the mirror again, a fleeting shadow, stretching, twisting, almost alive. My heart raced, and dread settled like a heavy stone in my throat. Noah was nowhere to be found. "Noah!" I screamed, panic rising as I searched frantically for him, dread creeping deeper into the corners of my mind. The figures of darkness whispered, and the shadows closed in tighter than ever, while reality twisted with every secret yet to be revealed. The silence that enveloped the tiny bathroom felt suffocating. Noah's cheerful laughter had been replaced by an unsettling void, and the shadows that once danced at the edge of my vision now threatened to engulf everything I held dear. My heart pounded like a tribal drum, echoing in my ears as I reached for the curtain, the fabric heavy with an inexplicable weight of dread. "Noah!" I shouted again, gripping the edge of the sink to steady myself. A wave of panic surged through me as I leaned closer, peering around the tub, my eyes darting in every direction. I found nothing, just the remnants of water cascading down the sides, droplets reflecting the waning light. That I darted back into the hallway, the air thick with anxiety. The small house felt like a labyrinth, each corner hiding potential dangers. My hands shook as I opened doors in a desperate search, the muted sounds of rain against the roof the only reassurance that the world outside remained unchanged. Even if mine felt altered, the living room was empty, save for the muddied clothes still piled in the corner, taunting me with their untidy presence. Their stench mingled with the scent of lingering fear, sharks circling through my mind. I knew I had to find him, had to hold on to hope even as despair clutched at my throat. In the dim light, I spotted the family album lying haphazardly on the coffee table. A flicker of nostalgia urged me to pause. There was a time before shadows swooped in like vultures, when laughter rang through our home, and I could chase away storms with silly faces and games. I picked it up, flipping through the pages with gentle reverence. There were snapshots of Noah's first bike ride, the cake-smudged face at his 5th birthday party, and us, side by side, beaming under a summer sun, but those moments felt so distant now, as if they were pieces of another life. I slammed the album shut, burying the memories deep down. "Focus," I whispered to myself, retracing my steps. The shadows outside pressed against the windows, a harsh reminder of the vulnerability lurking at the edges of our lives. "Check your instincts," Mrs. Jenkins' words echoed in my mind, twisting into an urgency that felt impossibly real. The walls of the living room closed in around me, a foreboding weight in the air that made my chest tighten. Barely breathing, I headed towards the bedroom. By some invisible force, the door creaked open slightly, revealing the dimness within. It was in that moment that I saw it, the same fleeting shadow that had been born in the mirror, a familiar tug at the corners of my mind, igniting a spark of dread within me. "Noah," I pleaded softly, almost wishing my voice could reach him wherever he might be. I stepped inside quietly, scanning the room. Panic clawed at my heart as I caught sight of his small form curled beneath the bed, eyes wide and unblinking. That I knelt, apprehension wrapping around my throat like a thin, chilling vine. "Why are you hiding, buddy?" My voice was strained as I drew closer. "Come out, it's just us. You don't have to be afraid." A sob broke free from his lips, the sound thin and tremulous. My heart shattered. "I don't want to see it again, please," he whispered as he clenched his fists, tucking them beneath his small chin. That I eased myself to the floor, my heart heavy with sorrow and bewilderment. "You know we face things together, right? I'll fight off whatever scares you. Just come here." He blinked at me, and with a soft unraveling of his small frame, he crawled out, the light from the window casting gentle illumination over his wide eyes, filled with both confusion and fear. As he pressed against me, the warmth of him flooded through every crack of my uncertainty. I saw it again, in the mirror. "It was sad, Maria," Noah whispered, and my chest tightened. "It looked like me, but it was older." "Older?" My mind raced, churning the words over and over like rabbits caught in a snare. He nodded, his small face filled with a fragile innocence. "And it kept saying my name. It wanted me to come closer. I didn't want it to take me." I wrapped my arms around him, feeling the weight of his little body relax against me, but dread surged back again. What was happening? Was the mud more than just remains of the storm? Suddenly, the walls seemed to pulse around us. The air thickened with an oppressive energy, shadows shifting and deepening. My heart leaped into my throat, pounding as the mirror on my dresser caught my eye. Something shifted within it, just out of focus, a swirl of darkness with an undeniable presence. "Noah," I breathed, trembling. "I think we need to leave, now." Just as I started to coax him upwards, the floor beneath us began to thrum with an otherworldly vibration. I reached out, clutching him tight, deep desperation embedding itself into my soul. And then, without warning, the mirror cracked, a chilling spider web of darkness spreading like a living organism, a gaping maw twisting as it consumed the light. I froze as the tragedy of shattered existence seeped forth, something unearthly crawling through, whispering secrets of despair. "No!" I screamed as instinct kicked in, throwing myself and Noah back from the impending void. But in that moment, Noah gasped, his eyes darted back to the mirror, his innocent nature magnetized towards the haunting presence. "It's calling me," he whimpered, his fragile grip slipping from my hands. "Noah." I lunged forward, my heart racing, the fear overwhelming my every move. I couldn't lose him to whatever malevolent whisper beckoned from the dark. As I reached for him, the room around us disintegrated into a desolate silence, the last shred of light evaporating in an instant. Chaos unfolded, and with it, the horrifying realization washed over me that we were not just fighting darkness. We were standing on the brink of something unimaginable, and I had to save him before the shadows devoured us whole. The world around us dissolved into an abyss of shadows and echoes, the edges of reality warping into grotesque shapes. I could hardly breathe, hovering on the precipice of fear and desperation, my heart racing as I lunged further into the void. "Noah. Come here." My voice sliced through the darkness, riddled with urgency, but he stood transfixed, his small frame barely distinguishable against the inky blackness that poured from the mirror. A shiver ran down my spine as I reached out for him again, but he seemed paralyzed by an unseen force. I was losing him. "Noah, you can't listen to it," I shouted, plunging through the oppressive air, feeling the icy tendrils of despair curling around my limbs. I grabbed his arm, pulling him toward me just as he whimpered, "But it wants to show me something." With a surge of desperation, I wrenched him closer until our bodies collided, an anchor amidst the storm. "This isn't right," I gasped, recoiling at the malicious oppression spewing from the mirror. It sang to us, a siren's call masked in a lull of sorrow, promising things that could never be. Hope morphed into terror as the whispers tantalized Noah's young spirit. Suddenly, the ground shifted violently beneath us, shaking loose the remnants of a former safety. I stumbled back instinctively, clutching Noah tighter as the darkness swelled. Shadows reached for us like ravenous creatures, the air thick with the weight of an emerging storm that wasn't just weather, but a fraying of the very fabric of our existence. "Hold on to me," I screamed, dragging him away from the mirror as the glass rippled like liquid, distorting the reflection of our fragile world. I could feel the vibrations of something more, and a pulse of fear coursed through every vein in my body. In that moment of complete chaos, something shifted. The atmosphere around us thickened with unexpected warmth, and a shimmering light cracked through the darkness, illuminating the edges of the mirror. A faint, echoing voice reached out to us, layered with compassion. "Run to the light." The sound was magnetic, pulling at my core. I felt a sense of familiarity, a soft recognition deep within. But could it truly be trusted? I glanced at Noah, his wide eyes filling with curiosity, mingling with terror. "Mommy?" he whimpered, uncertainty bleeding through his innocent tone. "Stay close," I said, commanding my voice to be steady. Heart hammering in my chest, I took his hand firmly in mine, feeling his small, fragile grip wrapped tightly around my fingers, a tether against the darkness that threatened to consume us whole. Together, we began to move towards the glowing light, every step feeling like a leap against the tide of despair. The edges of our vision flickered with haunting images, the memories of yesterday stolen from us, and moments of laughter that drowned beneath the weight of shadows. I could feel my resolve harden with every reassuring heartbeat of Noah beside me. One foot after the other, our stride gaining speed as desperation ignited a fire within, but the shadows lashed out, swirling around our feet like venomous smoke. I didn't stop, though. I couldn't afford to falter. With each pulse of darkness encroaching upon us, it became ever clearer. We were not merely running from something, we were also running towards something. I fumbled over shards of fear and longing, and just as I felt our escape slipping away, the path brightened with an intensity that stole my breath. The oppressive weight lifted momentarily, revealing what seemed to be a doorway in the light. A passage, calling us with an ethereal pull that promised safety, that urged us forward. "Noah. We can make it," I coaxed as I fought against the tangled shadows lashing at my heels, their sinister whispers clawing at my mind, reminding me of every doubt, every fear. My voice cut through the veil, a lifeline connecting us to hope. As we surged ahead, I saw at my reflection in the rippling mirror a vision of what we could be, embodying strength even amidst chaos. But before we could reach the light, I felt Noah tug back, a sharp Resistance that sent a wave of dread crashing into me. My mirror. He cried out, his little face contorting with panic. I have to go back. A sickening twist knotted my stomach as he pulled away. Noah, no, please. I screamed, but he began to inch back, drawn to the menacing fragments of himself beckoning from the abyss. The fractures in the mirror expanded, the malevolent calling surging through the air as if the very essence of our fear was reaching out to reclaim him. Left with an agonizing choice, a split-second decision hung in the balance: save him from the shadows consuming him, or risk the darkness ensnaring both of us once more. Noah. I reached forward, fear coursing through me. And then it happened, everything blurred as shadows converged upon us, swallowing the light and my frantic screams. In an instant, the world dissolved around us, and in the echoing silence that followed, I barely recognized the form of what was once my son standing before the mirror, radiant, but forever altered. Help me, Mommy, he whispered, but the words fell from his lips like shards of glass, each syllable cutting deeper than before, filled with a sorrow that sent a chill of impending doom coursing through me. And in that bleak moment, I understood, the darkness wasn't merely an absence of light, it was a tangible entity, lurking, waiting for us, promising a truth I could never imagine, a truth that would change everything forever. The cacophony of silence enveloped us, a thick blanket drawn over the chaos that had come before. I blinked, trying to grasp the reality of the situation. Noah, standing before me, but not entirely him. His eyes, once filled with innocence, were imbued with a haunting depth that made my heart ache. The weight of his plea echoed through my core, each word a reminder of the darkness we had just escaped, yet failed to conquer. Help me, Mommy. The words lingered in the air, heavy with an urgency I couldn't ignore, like the call of a distant siren promising both safety and peril. I staggered, instinctively reaching out for him, but the distance felt insurmountable, an invisible chasm widened by unseen forces. The reflection of the mirror shimmered, and for a breathless moment, I caught a glimpse of what lay behind his pleading gaze, the remnants of joy, laughter, and a childhood that now felt eternal yet fleeting. Noah, I'm here. I shouted, but my voice trembled, ravaged by the uncertainty creeping back in. The shadows throbbed just beyond, watching with malevolent anticipation, eager to exploit the fracture that had emerged between us. You need to come away from there. Please. He hesitated, tearing his gaze from the mirror as it pulsed behind him, its edges throbbing like a living thing. Just then, a flicker caught my periphery, a fleeting shimmer across the ground, like a splash of light pushing through the oppression. I felt it beckoning, offering a thread of warmth I desperately wanted to clutch. Noah. Look. I pointed to the glimmer, hoping with every fiber of my being he could see the way through the darkness. As my voice cut through the heavy air, I noticed something shift in his stance, a barely perceptible softness emerging in the harsh angles of his face. But the moment was fleeting, too quickly shattered by the oppressive whispers filtering from the mirror. It's not real. I cried. What it's showing you isn't true. No, Mommy. It's everything I've lost. His little hands trembled, reaching toward the mirror's ghost-like reflection. There was a longing in his voice, one that pierced my heart. It was a longing for the pieces of himself he felt slipped forever away, and suddenly I was reminded of the day he took his first steps, how proud he had been, eyes glimmering with vitality and untarnished hope. Noah, we can find them together. Let us not go back. The quiver in my voice failed to mask the desperation clawing to the surface. Please. I took a hesitant step closer, inching towards him while fighting the growing darkness that strained against our connection. I could feel his small frame wavering under the weight of the choice he faced. Fear wrestled with remembrance in his eyes, and at that moment, I felt a surge of love so fierce it threatened to outshine the darkness, to dissolve it into mere shadows. I thought about all the times we had laughed, played, and even cried together. Those moments became my armor, shielding my heart with resolve. Noah, remember when we made mud pies in the backyard? I continued, hoping to break through the haze of uncertainty surrounding him. You said they were the best pies ever. His brow furrowed, confusion mingling with a glimmer of something more, a flickering flame of recognition. But it was so messy. And of course, it had been. Our laughter had filled the air as we splattered each other with muck, our joy unfettered and pure. It was messy, I agreed, fighting to push a smile through my anxiety, but we created something beautiful together, didn't we? It was our mess. The shadows roared in discontent, but I pressed on. Noah, memories aren't just reflections in a mirror. They're the stories we carry inside us, the love that shapes us. I know you can feel that. For a split moment, I thought I saw a flicker of understanding cross his face, a door within the fortress of his heart beginning to creak open just enough to let in a sliver of light. But then, as if the realization struck like a thunderbolt, the mirror shuddered violently, its surface darkening. I lurched forward, reaching for him. With frantic desperation. Noah. Suddenly, a new sound sliced through the pandemonium, the sudden, anguished cry of a child, one so piercing it felt like the world had stopped. My heart stopped, realizing the cry mirrored my own, a tangled echo of a heart breaking within this shadowy realm. Noah. Don't turn away. I pleaded, frantic now as I sensed the unthinkable danger encroaching, as the mirror shimmered sickness, drawing all the sorrow and pain into its depths. The chasm between us yawned wider, shadows clawing at him with desperate intent. With everything I had, I shouted, please, just come back to me. I can't lose you again. But as the words tumbled from my lips, the darkness enveloped him. I watched helplessly as his figure began to fade, drawn towards the mirror's grasp. Mommy. His voice echoed through the silence, unraveling the very fabric of my being. And then, in a heartbeat, he vanished. My blood froze in my veins. I was left standing before the mirror, alone, caught in a silence that cracked like broken glass. With a surge of pain, I pressed my palms against the glass, feeling an electric pulse resonate through the whole of my being. As I closed my eyes, the fragments of memories surged like tidal waves, laughter, the smell of rain-soaked earth, the warmth of his tiny hands in mine, striking against the darkness that threatened to swallow me whole. But realization washed over me like a cleansing balm. This wasn't only about fighting the darkness, it was about acknowledging the light we had created together. I needed to find a way back to him, to wrestle through this storm of shadows and reclaim his spirit. There had to be a way, a truth buried deeper than the abyss that yearned for us. Hold on, Noah, I whispered, heart pounding in my chest as I summoned every ounce of courage. I'm coming back for you. And as I turned my gaze back to the mirror, the world around me shifted once more, and a new shadow fell upon me, the faint trace of hope threading its way through the darkness, whispering a promise that all was not yet lost. But just as I took a step forward, the mirror flickered, reflecting a chilling image: Noah, standing there, but this time with shadows curling around him, poised to swallow him whole. My breath caught in my throat. I had to act, but time was running out. The mirror warped and shimmered, a distorted portal taunting me with images of Noah as if he were trapped in a frame of sorrow. My heart raced, grappling with the ice-cold grip of panic wrapping around my chest. Noah. I screamed again, desperation lacing every syllable. The Noah in the mirror turned slightly, glancing back at me with those hauntingly familiar, yet chilling, eyes. They weren't quite his, not completely. They had become vessels of sorrow, the remnants of his spirit tainted by the clutches of the mirror's darkness. My throat tightened as I watched the shadows twist around him, reaching with skeletal fingers that were intent on holding him fast in their grasp. Mommy. His voice was softer this time, thin like spun glass, and it echoed endlessly in the chamber of my mind, cutting through my resolve like a knife. I couldn't let the despair drown out his call. A swift breeze sent shivers across my skin, whispering fragments of our memories, each one a thread I could draw upon to pull him back from the brink. The joy of exploring color with fingerprints on paper, the sound of our laughter echoing in backyard games at sunset, hiding beneath covers during stormy nights. Noah, remember the way the fireflies twinkled in the dark? Like little stars? I encouraged fervently, trying to infuse my words with hope despite the heaviness looming over us. Even in the darkest of nights, they still shone. He faltered, uncertainty dancing in his gaze. The shadows around him rippled as if responding to my words, agitated by the light of his fading spirit. I took a determined step toward the mirror, feeling the cold glass push back against my palm. Drawing courage, I continued, those memories are still ours. They'll always be ours. You just have to believe that you can come back to them. His eyes shimmered as they reflected something deeper, a flicker of recognition. But it hurts, he whispered, a fracturing sound that felt like shattering glass, resonating painfully within my chest. Moments stretched across the chasm, each one weighed down by the urgency of time slipping away and the relentless grip of looming shadows. I know it hurts, baby, I replied softly, every ounce of tenderness woven into my voice, but we can face it together. Just like we always have. I promise I won't let go. You have to trust me. A sudden burst of light shot through the mirror, illuminating Noah's face just as the shadows lunged toward him, desperate to consume the flicker of hope I had ignited. I pressed harder, my breath quickening as the weight of the world bore down on my chest like lead. Fight back, Noah. Remember the gooey cake we made just before your last birthday? All that frosting? We laughed about the mess everywhere. You loved that. No. I failed. He quaked, his voice trembling with sorrow. I let everyone down. The shadows flickered at his words, and in that moment, their grasp seemed to loosen just a fraction. Noah, you're not a failure. You're a hero in my eyes. Remember how you saved that bird that fell from the nest? You brought it back to life. You gave it a second chance. I felt my tears spill over, wishing desperately to bridge the distance separating us. The shadows shuddered with resentment, resisting the light of my words. You have to come back. I begged, leaning into the reflective surface as if I could fuse my spirit with his. Let us make more memories, messy ones. I need those moments with you, Noah. I need you with me. He hesitated, his small face twisting in turmoil. The mirror pulsed and rippled, each heartbeat feeling like a countdown, each second heavier than the last. I began to recite our favorite bedtime story, my voice breaking but resolute, hoping the familiar cadence would anchor him to this reality to us. Suddenly, a figure emerged from behind Noah in the depths of the glass. It loomed larger than life, dark, formless, and yet not entirely unfamiliar. I squinted, dread coiling like ice in my gut. Noah, look out! I cried, my heart plummeting. That he turned sharply, but before he could fully comprehend, the shadow lunged forward. No! I screamed, panicking as the darkness slashed toward him with cruel intent. Stay away from him. In that instant, the figure elongated, wreathed in the shadows of despair, the embodiment of all our lost moments, our nightmares. The strands of time began to intertwine and weave, a fusion of past grievances, heartaches, and regrets threatening to pull us both under. Desperation coursed through me like wildfire. I needed to break the connection that tethered him to the dark. Noah, fight it! I shouted, mingling fervor with grief. You have the power to choose love and light. Choose your memories, choose me. We are more than this darkness. He trembled, shadows skittering away, but I couldn't tell if it was the light in him or the shadow threatening to consume him. Seconds felt like hours, and as I braced myself against the glass, I saw his face morph between anguish and resolve. Mommy, I Noah. Time stretched taut, caught in the tension of that moment as I felt an unfurling within me, a brave new pulse surging with determination. I am right here. Come back to me. But as I screamed, the shadows snapped, seizing that fleeting hesitation. All at once, the mirror crackled with energy, and I watched in horror as it pulled Noah further into its depths, that most haunting of expressions settling on his face, a mix of fear, sadness, and a promise that slipped through his fingers like sand. Tears streamed down my cheeks as the darkness consumed him. No! I howled in despair, my heart felt like it was being torn apart. But just before he disappeared completely, I felt a spark, a flicker of warmth radiating from my core, whispering the promise of love and connection, that roll of hope I refused to extinguish. I will find you. I'll always come for you. He faded, but that promise hung in the air between us like a silken thread, glinting through the darkness. Alone and trembling, I stepped back from the mirror, the response of the shadows vibrating through the air like a distant thunder. I had to act fast before they came for me too. My mind raced as I felt the oppressive weight of despair rising around me like a tidal wave. Maybe Noah wasn't lost. Maybe he had slipped through to a part of the world where shadows could be confronted. And maybe, just maybe, another kindred spirit could help me discover how to follow him, how to reach beyond the mirror and the darkness that loomed. But as I turned away, determined to find a way through this storm, a cold breath of wind cascaded around me, carrying with it the echo of Noah's fading voice, "Mommy, no." The mirror flickered again, dangerously close to sealing our bond forever. I clenched my fists, feeling the fire of a new resolve bubbling inside me. I would face whatever trials lay ahead. Time was not on my side, and the shadows were growing restless. And I realized, deep within my bones, that whatever awaited me behind that mirror, it would draw on the strength of the love we had created, just as much as it would force me to confront my deepest fears. It was there, I believed, that I would uncover the missing pieces leading me back to Noah if only I could discover the path in time. I plunged into the darkened corridor, heart racing with the urgency of the moment, my mind swirling with half-formed plans and swelling fears. The air felt thick, heavy as if saturated with forgotten memories tainted by the shadows. With each step, I could hear whispers wrapping around my consciousness, echoes of Noah's fading laughter now tainted with despair, pulling me deeper into an emotional labyrinth. The flickering shadows mocked me, darting at the corners of my vision. But amidst the dread, a small spark of fortitude ignited within my chest. The promise of love I had made to Noah was unwavering, my determination crystallizing into something resolute. I would search for him, even if it meant trudging through this blighted maze. That I stumbled into a chamber lit by a pale, ghostly glow emanating from ancient stone walls. Here, a grandeur remained as if a remnant of life had once thrived, but now it was draped in veil upon veil of sorrow. Chills danced down my spine. It wasn't just the cold, it was the silence, as if the very stones held their breath awaiting what came next. At the center of the chamber stood a pedestal, a small, circular basin resting atop it. The surface sparkled, reflecting ghostly fragments of memories I longed to grasp. As I approached, the air thickened with an overwhelming sense of nostalgia. I reached out, humming softly the lullabies that once lulled Noah to sleep, willing the essence of our bond to saturate the atmosphere. As my fingertips brushed against the cool, glimmering surface, a surge of memories erupted, images of Noah giggling as we danced in puddles after a rainstorm, our hearts brimming with joy. But just as instantly, shadows clawed at the memories, twisting them, darkening the laughter until they resembled a haunting lament rather than a celebration of love. Suddenly the room shifted, spiraling around me, and with it came another whisper of voice, distinct yet dripping with sorrow. "You can't save him. He doesn't belong to you anymore." I froze, dread pooling in my stomach as the voice coalesced into a figure. Familiar yet warped, it was a visage painted by sorrow and anguish, a reflection of my own fears turning against me. "You are lost. Your love cannot reach him now," the shadowed figure taunted. "Shut up," I shouted, clenching my jaw, pride swelling against the tide of despair. "He's my son. I won't give up on him." The figure laughed, a sound that echoed like glass shattering, stirring the shadows in the room, writhe and flicker. "You're fooling yourself. You can't change fate," it hissed, extending an arm towards the basin. "Join the void. Your pain will fade, and the shadows will cradle you, bringing peace." I recoiled, feeling an icy wave of dread wash over me, a sickening temptation curling around my heart. I had watched Noah slip away, and every shadow of doubt whispered that perhaps this embodiment of darkness was right. Maybe I couldn't change what had happened. But the thought of Noah's tender smile and the way his eyes sparkled with mischief ignited a fierce resolve. I'd rather live in pain than surrender to despair. I yelled defiantly, as the warmth of hope clawed its way back to the surface. "I'm not afraid of the shadows. I will carve a path through them." Each syllable surged with the power of our memories, the unconditional love tethering us together. In that moment, I realized my emotional scars were not burdens, but a bridge to cross the abyss between us. I could feel the air around me shift, vibrating with tense energy as I summoned all my strength, pouring every ounce of my being into the basin. "Noah, I am coming for you," I chanted, the words seeping into the very core of the shadows. Suddenly, images surged forth, moments of joy, fluttering butterflies in the wind, crafts gone awry, and Noah's laughter slicing through the darkness like shards of sunlight. The shadows shrieked, recoiling, their malevolent grip faltering as the basin began to swirl with my memories, colors swirling and blending, creating a kaleidoscope of our experiences. The darkness writhed, desperately, seeking to extinguish the warmth and light, but my determination held steadfast, igniting those memories like fire. Yet just as I believed the shadows would recede, something clicked. The basin pulsed, beckoning my attention to the central rippling surface. And beneath it, I could see a figure struggling, unseen, its image flickering uncertainly. "Mama." His voice was faint, an echo tinged with urgency and fear. "Noah." I gasped, thick emotion flooding me, making my heart race faster. "I see you. Hold on, I'm coming. Just reach for me." With shaking hands, I reached out, my fingers grazing the water's surface, and immediately the images shattered outward. Time twisted and spiraled, the world bending and contorting around us, intertwined between the light and darkness. I felt the basin alive beneath my touch, a connection palpable yet chaotic, weaving with hopes and fears, love and despair. But then it happened. From the corner of my vision, another shadow exploded directly toward me, a jagged force that burst through the wall of shimmering memories. I blinked, stunned, as it took shape. Another figure, far more menacing than the last, rising like a storm on the horizon, its voice a low growl. "You will never reclaim him." The ground trembled beneath my feet, and I tried to pull my hand back in terror, but it was too late. In one swift motion, the shadow lashed out, ensnaring me in a web of despair, a swirling vortex that tore my heart asunder. Just as I felt myself slipping, a flood of warmth washed over me, igniting a flickering light within. "Noah, I believe in you." I cried out, my voice growing stronger as I bore witness to the strength of our memories, preparing to fight off the darkness around me. But the weight of the shadow pulled me inexorably down, dragging me toward the abyss, threatening to engulf me whole. And in that instant, a chilling thought crossed my mind: will I only find you in the depths of this darkness? The fight for Noah and myself raged on, our destinies entwined in a dance between light and shadow. I felt the world spinning beneath me, and with one last surge of defiance, I grasped onto the idea of loving fiercely enough to hurl darkness back into the void. Then came the sound, a sharp crack, like thunderclaps echoing in the deep, just as the shadow lunged forward, poised to take me, to drag me into the depths of despair. Moments stretched like rubber. This could be the end, or the beginning of something transformative. And as the shadows loomed, I clung tightly to the love that swirled within me, the promise that I would not yield. That instant, all it took was a splash, a single moment of clarity through the murky depths of despair, and I braced myself for whatever awaited on the other side of the darkness. Every moment bristled with potential, every heartbeat laid claim to either a new dawn or an endless night. My eyes widened, heart ablaze, as I realized this could either lead us back together, or finally, tear us apart forever. The shadows roared in indignation, a cacophony of despair that surged to drown me. I could feel the weight of their world, heavy with grief, as my heart pounded in response, a defiant beat against the oncoming tide. "No. I will not allow this." I screamed into the depths, my voice a beacon flickering in the all-consuming dark, but the shadows howled, and I was yanked deeper into their murky grasp. My thoughts scattered like leaves in a storm, but amongst the chaos, one singular image kept me anchored: Noah's radiant smile, the way it lit up his face as we built sandcastles, the sun kissing our skin. "Just remember, I'm your mama," I whispered to the darkness, feeling the warmth of that memory saturate my very essence. "And I won't let you take him from me." With a surge of will, I focused on the basin, the memories spilling forth like a still pond ricocheting with vibrant life. I envisioned Noah's laughter, the way it spiraled into the air, wrapping around us like a comforting blanket. The thought propelled me forward, and I clawed against the shadow that threatened to swallow me whole. Yet just as I felt the chains of despair loosen, the figure of ice-cold stone thrust itself closer, a grin that dripped with malice. "You think you can win this battle? Love doesn't conquer all, it just brings pain," it sneered, the harshness of its words crackling like a whip in the anguish-darkened chamber. Lifting my head defiantly, I took a breath, my insides trembling yet resolute. "You don't understand love," I spat back, feeling the fire of my commitment bursting alive in every corner of my soul. "Love isn't just a warm feeling, it's a powerful force. It demands to be fought for." The figure sneered, every inch of it shimmering with darkness, but as I tuned into the memories swirling around, the shadows quivered, losing their steadfast hold on me. Flickers of light pulsed through the air, illuminating more than just the pain, the love, the bond, the fight I had always had within me. "Mama, don't leave me." A voice sliced through the chaos. It was faint, trembling but impossibly real, echoing from a place of uncertainty yet filled with desperate hope. Just like that, a different memory surfacing, a secret badge Noah wore proudly when he rode his bicycle for the first time. It had been a day full of training wheels, but never a lack of belief. "You can do this," I had urged him, and now I served him those very same words. Those memories coalesced into a strength I hadn't realized was bubbling to the surface, a force that pulled me closer to the basin once more as I gathered every ounce of courage I had left. "Noah, believe in us," I shouted, and the moment my lungs emptied the words, a burst of light emanated from the basin, illuminating the chamber, drowning the shadows in a wash of warmth. The flicker of our love surged outward, pushing against the darkness, reclaiming its powers one pulse at a time. The shadowed figure faltered, its visage writhing in agony, the whispers of despair bleeding into terrified gasps. "No!" it howled, retreating ever so slightly as I pressed forward. "You can't," but my heart had made its decision, and with every ounce of me, I felt the tether to Noah grow stronger. "I will fight. I will keep fighting," I declared, my voice echoing in defiance. The warmth transformed into a radiant shield, protecting me against the perils that threatened to tear me apart. Hope burst through the chamber as I fed my love into the basin. It shimmered into life, drawing more and more vivid memories into its depths, creating a vibrant tapestry that wove together laughter, love, and a connection that could not be severed. Yet, just as the shadows wavered, a new chill sliced through the warm embrace of light. The darkness coalesced into a singular form more monstrous than before. It towered above me, a foreboding presence that wrapped around my heart, squeezing the breath from my lungs. Defiance coursed through my veins, desperate yet resolute, as I recalled the glimmer of Noah's joy, the way he darted through life, unclouded by fear. "This ends now," I yelled, and as I surged forward, drawing on the reservoir of love amassed from both our lives, a moment of pure vulnerability revealed itself. Instead of fighting against the shadows, I welcomed their presence. I held out my palm as if embracing what they represented: fear, pain, heartache, yet also a reminder of everything that had brought me here. "Show me Noah," I cried, willing the shadows to reveal what lay beneath the curtain they had drawn behind my boy's light. The air crackled with energy as the darkness swirled around me, bending as if at my command, but in that instance, I realized the truth of the shadows. They thrived on my fear, but I could either succumb or transform that fear into strength. "Noah, I'm bringing you home," I whispered through quivering lips, my spirit igniting with fierce determination. That it was a gamble, a dangerous one, yet as I closed my eyes, I felt the warmth returning, wrapping around me, anchoring my heart. And when I opened them again with clarity, something shifted. Suddenly, the dark figure trembled, a flicker of uncertainty hinting at its malevolence being challenged. "You can't win," it raged, but the hesitation was apparent, the air charged with tension as more memories ignited. "Watch me," I whispered fiercely, the words spilling forth, infused with my very essence. "We will not be torn apart. Not today." But just as the ground beneath me waged an insatiable battle between despair and hope, another chilling cry echoed from the abyss as the basin surged with power. The image flickered uncertainly, and my heart seized with dread. "I'm here, Noah," I cried, fear and desperation intertwining, my spirit caught in a tempest of emotions. "Don't give up on me." In that moment, the fabric of my hope began to unravel. A dark formula revealed itself through the basin, and the shadows thrummed with a sinister energy, pulsing against the love that bloomed resolutely within me. And just when it seemed everything would fracture apart, when I felt hope teetering on the brink, I glimpsed something that brought an icy shiver down my spine. The basin began to echo Noah's image, but it wasn't he the one I adored. Searing pain burned through me as I struggled to pull myself closer, light flickering dangerously, amid hollow laughter that rang with a haunting revelation. The truth was close, but could I bear to face it? Just as my resolve felt about to crumble, the shadows lunged forward, threatening to erase everything I had fought for. And all at once, dread flooded me. Every question loomed: what had I left unturned, and what secrets lay among the darkness? "Mama," I heard him cry again, the sound piercing through the haze, as I fought against the darkness to uncover the fragile tether that still linked us. Would our bond be enough to conquer the shadows, or were we doomed to be lost in the abyss forever? The thrill of anguish twisted within me, an emotional cliffhanger poised to tear through the fabric of everything we knew. In that terrifying moment, as my world split apart, I realized the greatest trials still awaited us, and ahead loomed an unimaginable truth, lurking just out of reach. The chaos within the chamber reached a fever pitch, shadows swirling and pulsating with a maddening intensity. I found myself breathless, held captive by the reality of what the shadows were revealing, my heart pounding like a drum echoing in a great hall. The image of Noah flickered again, hazy and indistinct, but his essence embedded itself in my soul, weaving closer and closer. "You are not lost to me," I screamed, clutching at my chest as if clutching at him, but the shadows began to take on warped, grotesque forms that resembled familiar faces. Friends I had once cherished now loomed large, their twisted grins seeping with doubt and mockery. "You think your love can save you?" They jeered, their voices a chorus of resentment. "You are too weak, just like the rest of us." "No. I'm not weak," I roared back, desperation clawing at my throat, but they surged forward, pressing against me, enveloping me in a suffocating embrace. The air fizzled with tension, it felt like a palpable entity, squeezing the breath from my lungs as memories of abandonment and loss threatened to consume me, yet amidst this hellish swarm, one heartbeat thudded out a steady rhythm that sliced through their jeers. "Mama!" The cry transformed into a siren song, urging me to fight beyond fear. It was Noah's voice, filled with that innocent belief that could pierce through any dark veil. For him, I needed to grow stronger, I had to. Remember the sandcastles, the laughter. I begged myself, digging deep within, pulling back the memories of not only him but my own childhood dreams. We had built those castles together, molded from sand, laughter, and dreams for the future. With each recollected moment, I felt the weight of shadows loosen, a path slowly forming before me, a flicker of light demanding to blaze against the darkness. As I reached deeper, summoning every ounce of strength, a small glimmer emerged from amongst the chaos, an unexpected moment of kindness. I saw the face of a stranger, an elderly woman who had once offered me warmth on a cold winter's day. Her smile glimmered like a beacon. "Love is stronger than fear," she had said then, her eyes sparkling with wisdom. "Carry it with you." I could almost hear her gentle voice above the tumult, washing over me like a refreshing wave after years of drought. "You're right," I whispered to the shadows now grasping at my ankles, "love is the strongest force." With a deep breath, I poured every ounce of remembrance into the basin, an urgent plea for Noah to hear me amidst the din. "Fight with me, Noah. I'm coming." The words thundered from my core, reverberating in a refrain against the darkness wrapping around me like chains, and in response, the basin surged with a radiant light, casting away some of the weight I felt crushing my spirit. But then the figures morphed again, shadows taking on monstrous forms of betrayal, memories turning to ash. I glimpsed glimpses of my own failures and fears, each one striking harder than the last. "You will never find him," they hissed, voices slithering menacingly. "You are unworthy, just a flawed mother." The damning words wrapped around my heart, pulling at the seams, unraveling my determination as tears brimmed at the edges of my vision. "No," I gasped, straining against the torment. But amidst the agony, I felt a tender warmth igniting inside me. How could I let the shadows define my worth? Suddenly, a vision of Noah standing, proud and unyielding, swam before me, his joy crackling with vibrant energy. "You're my mama, remember?" he had said so gleefully, bathed in sunlight, innocent hope radiating from him. That belief nestled deep within me, imprinting itself fiercely. His faith in me was strong enough to withstand the fiercest darkness. With a sudden surge of clarity, I ripped through the shadows as I defiantly whispered, "I am worthy. I may be flawed, but my love is unbreakable." The shadows recoiled momentarily, feasting on my anguish, but now there was a resistance blooming like wildfire dancing against a storm. But the relief was short-lived, for I sensed the darkness congealing at the edges, and then silence. The whispers stopped, and the shadows seemed to retreat, leaving only a menacing void that echoed with an unsettling dread. It all concentrated into a single revelation, I felt the emptiness seep into every corner of my resolve. Just when I thought I was breakthrough, clutching at the pivotal moment of triumph, something cold pricked at my consciousness, a pulse of fear that lurked beneath. What if I was wrong? What if Noah truly was lost to me? The thought sparked like lightning, igniting a flame of panic. Mama! The anguished cry split the silence, a sound that resonated through me, reverberating against the hollow shell of my heart. I froze. It sounded different, echoing not with innocence but with sheer terror, as if he had already sensed the shadows wrapping him. Noah! I cried, the sound shrill and raw. Suddenly, everything slashed painfully together. The shadows surged back, rekindled by my fear. A churning darkness locked me in place, forcing me closer to a truth I was unworthy to confront but deep down knew I must face. As I fought to regain my balance, my gaze tore back to the basin, desperate to glimpse the rallying cries of both hope and dread. The shifting energies pulsated ominously, and just as I prepared to plunge deeper, I caught sight of their last, unfurling form, Noah's face, twisted in a darkness I had never seen before. Mama! Help me! His voice cracked into sobs, reverberating through the binding air. My heart shattered at the sight, a kaleidoscope of sorrow and love slicing deeper. His anguished expression, tinted with fear and despair, wrapped around my spirit. Please, I'm scared. And at that moment, standing at a precipice of an unfathomable abyss, I felt the horrible realization flood my body. To find him, I would have to descend further into the shadows than ever before, confronting nightmares I had long buried. Just as the shadows lunged forward again, promising to sweep him away, I knew my fight had just begun. Hold on, baby. I'm coming. I screamed into the void, but the echoes only swallowed my words, and I wondered, with a terror paralyzing my resolve, if my heart could withstand the weight of the truth I was about to unveil. The shadows loomed around me, twisting and swirling into grotesque forms, each one taunting me with echoes of my insecurities. I could feel their relentless pressure pushing against my chest, threatening to pull me under. But the urgent warmth of Noah's voice burned brightly in my ears, casting a flicker of light against the suffocating dark. Mama! Help me! The sound pierced through the chaos, a raw plea that reignited my determination. I had to find him, to bring him back from the brink. The darkness whispered of despair, but my love soared above it all, swirling like a beacon amidst the growing shadows. Stay with me, Noah! I shouted, forcing my feet forward, ignoring the shivers running up my spine as I stepped into the heart of chaos. Each stride felt heavier than the last, but I pressed on, fueled by the knowledge that I would not abandon him. I'm coming. As I neared the basin, I could see the images of our shared memories flickering within, morphing into a vibrant tapestry of laughter and love, the very essence of our bond. But surrounding it were shadows, dark tendrils reaching desperately, attempting to grasp and distort what I held dear. No! I yelled, clenching my fists. I could not let them take him away, not without a fight. Noah, listen to me. Remember our dance in the rain? Remember how we twirled until we fell down in gales of laughter? I could feel the love we had woven together pulsing through me, a surge of warmth and hope. We survived every storm, Noah. You are stronger than this darkness. A flicker of recognition danced through the shifting shadows. The sound of my voice seemed to peel away the layers of despair pressing down on us. I could feel Noah's spirit fighting against the shadows that sought to drag him down, and it filled me with unspeakable strength. Reach for me! I cried, stretching my arms toward the basin. You can come back. Our love is your way home. The shadows writhed, crying out. They felt the pull of the memories I shared with Noah, and they hated it. But I refused to falter. I wouldn't let fear dictate my truth. In that moment of defiance, the basin shimmered, casting an overwhelming light that forced the shadows back, illuminating our connections, our love, our hopes. Each heartbeat felt like a drum, resonating with my soul, echoing the promise I made to him. I am your mother. I will never stop fighting for you. I shouted fervently, pulling all my energy into the memories that swirled like the sound of his laughter, the warmth of sunny afternoons, the mud pies we made and the exuberance we shared while playing in the rain. Suddenly, the walls of the chamber began to pulse, and I could feel the shadows grumbling, shrinking back as I flipped the narrative of fear into a fierce battle cry for hope. Noah, please. Find me. Then, before I could process it, the shadows let out a deafening roar, shaking the chamber, threatening to swallow me whole. You cannot escape us. We thirst for despair. They hissed, but amid the chaos, I saw the flicker of Noah's figure within the basin, slightly obscured, yet so close. My heart raced as I reached deeper, feeling an electric pulse radiating from the connection we created through our shared moments, memories interlacing as each step pushed me further. We can do this together, Noah. I love you. I shouted, pouring out every ounce of affection and belief I had, until suddenly, the corridor burst with blinding light, washing over me in waves of fierce warmth. Noah. The echo of his name reverberated off the walls as I felt him reach out through the shadows. And just as they threatened to overwhelm me, a singular beam of light pierced through their darkness, illuminating the path before me. Mama. His voice rang clear, a sweet note dancing above the turmoil. Heart hammering in my chest, the bond between us rooted me firmly in place against the onslaught. The sudden wave of warmth surged through the oppressive gloom, cracking the malevolent grip of shadows that tried to smother us. I see you. Just a little further. And then, a miracle, flickers of light that where once memory exploded vibrantly around us, squeezing the shadows back. I felt the basin begin to dissolve, swirling light bursting forth, illuminating the entire chamber with a brilliance that spoke of hope conquering despair. In that breathless moment, Noah's figure began to clarify, overcoming the twisted darkness that sought to capture him. We will create more memories together, my love. I howled, urging with all the strength within me. You belong in the light. The shadows screamed, rumbling with a palpable fury as every ounce of darkness that pulled at Noah unraveled. And as I felt a tether pull taut between us, a rush of connection ignited within my soul, pushing even harder against despair. Come, Noah. I shouted over the roar. Remember our laughter. Our adventures. We can shift the tides together. Time stretched in a surreal, aching quality, a heartbeat echoing loudly as our bond grew roots in the basin of memories swirling between us. Together. I screamed one last, powerful time, holding my arms wide like wings ready to embrace him anew, and then, like a bird breaking free from its cage, Noah appeared in the light, eyes wide with a mix of determination and hope, and I truly saw him. In that instant, we surged toward each other, and I felt his small hands grasp mine like a lifeline. Mama. He cried out, tears streaming down his cheeks, mirroring my own. Together we collided, our embrace igniting the air, a surge of warmth that seared away the darkness. Shadows collapsed around us, unable to withstand the brilliance of our love, a love that wove through pain and grief, creating something new and powerful. I'll protect you. I whispered, wrapping him tight in the warmth of my embrace as he trembled against me. The echoes of shadows faded, engulfed by the brilliance of our unbreakable bond, and just like that, the world around us began to shift. We transcended the remnants of despair, rising through layers of light, and as we emerged from the shards of darkness, I felt hope reignite all around us. Standing hand in hand, I looked at my boy, eyes bright with wonder as we stepped into a sun-drenched meadow, a stark contrast to the storm we'd just overcome. The warmth flooded over us, washing away remnants of anxiety and fear, leaving only the pristine purity of our bond. But Mama, how? He stammered in awe, looking around him. It's our love, I said softly, the realization pouring into my heart. We can face anything together. Even the shadows can't extinguish our light. And as I pulled him closer, we reveled in the beauty of the moments yet to come, the laughter we would share, the memories yet to be created, the mud pies yet to be made. In that profound silence, illuminated by joy and hope, I felt everything settle fully into place. We had faced the darkness together, and we emerged reborn and relentless onto the canvas of life, our spirits intertwined, ready to face whatever came next. Let us go make a splash, I said, beaming, as we turned to run into the endless horizon, the echoes of laughter chiming sweetly behind us, and in that fleeting moment, as we chased towards the warmth of the sun, I knew, with a sense of clarity, that love would always find a way.